have a really interesting evening tonight. We've got, we hope to bring to you information on what's going on with the City College, an update of City College, and we have another speaker who's going to give you a little bit about information about split roll for Prop 13.
Judge Carnow's decision regarding the city attorney's litigation. So what the city attorney's office alleged was that the accreditation agency for City College was engaging in unfair practices. And what the judge's decision was about 80% of what we wanted. So we were hoping he would just say the ACCJC is unfit to be accrediting anything, and we would go back to square one. We're not back to square one. The ACCJC is still the body that will determine whether we get accredited or not, but my hope is that they've been chastened enough by the findings of unfair business practices that they won't try anything untoward like they did the last time. And if any of you attended the actual trial, it was very interesting when Barbara Bino, the executive director of the ACCJC, pretty much gave the city attorney's office everything they wanted. So she was testifying to all kinds of things, like the fact that she rewrote the recommendations of the committee that was there to approve or the accreditation. So it's very interesting what happened during the trial. Anyway, so that's one thing. The other thing is, at the same time, City College now is under a restoration process. So originally there was a show cause why we shouldn't shut down City College immediately. That's what the ACCJC issued first of all, that started all this problem with, and the city attorney ultimately filing suit against them. So the restoration was something that the ACCJC came up with all of a sudden and said, okay, well, this is really serious, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you 2 years, but you have to complete everything 100% that's on our list, and if you don't, you have no right of appeal. So many people think that's even worse than the accreditation, that we could fight against that. But, so we are now under the restoration process. The only really good thing is that because of the lawsuit, I think there's more of a chance that the ACCJC will act as fair as they possibly can be. At the same time, there's other rumblings by other community colleges, because they're having to foot the bill for the expensive legal team that the ACCJC used during this whole matter. So now they're sending out a special assessment to all these other community colleges. So I'm hoping that they get mad enough to want to do something about it and discuss having another accrediting body. If you go back into the history of it, WASC, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, is the body that accredits K-12 and universities. I teach at San Francisco State, and we're under WASC. So the ACCJC is kind of like this little rogue accrediting body, if you will. Are there any questions about that part? There's some other interesting developments that are going on at City College. So I'll just move right into those. Our special trustee with extraordinary powers. I know that sounds like a Marvel comic book character, but he's actually the presiding trustee at the last board meetings for the last year, up until this last one that we had in January, where the full board finally sat, but with the special trustee. He's retiring. This would be a great opportunity for the Board of Governors to transition back to the elected Board of Trustees. So I am pushing for that. I know that other members of the Board of Trustees are pushing for that as well. There is a rumor that they may just get someone else to do this. These people don't come cheap either. They're very expensive, much more expensive than the elected Board of Trustees. So hopefully that's a good sign. We won't know until the Board of Governors actually acts on that and decides whether to appoint someone or let the elected board preside. The properties that you might have heard about in the newspaper. There's 3 properties that have been discussed recently in the papers. One is the Civic Center property, and the other one is the Goff property, 33 Goff, and then the Balboa Reservoir, which technically City College does not own, but it's adjacent to City College. So the first one, the City College campus in the Civic Center had to be shut down because it's seismically unreinforced and was considered dangerous by the state architect's office. So that sounds reasonable for why it should be shut down. However, it was not handled very well, and faculty was not involved at all, which I think was a real area that would have been nice to have faculty and the administration work together on this. So that said, that building is now shut down until it's seismically retrofit. If you think there's rumors that they really want to get rid of it, I don't know that yet, but we'll see what happens with that. I believe it's going to be seismically retrofitted, but it's going to take a while. The problem is they're English language learners mostly at that location, and that really impacts them. In fact, only administration and their staff were out there with a lot of people that don't speak English, so the faculty actually went out there to provide information, even though they were discouraged from doing so. That's the problem. At a time when we need more students, students were being effectively chased away and sent to a lot of different locations. So that's a bit of a problem. We could use some improvement with those relationships between the faculty and the administration. The 33 Goff property is an underutilized area that's in an up-and-coming area in the mid-market region that's can be used for housing, can be sold for a higher price. This is a bit of a problem for me because my feeling is, oh yeah, let's have mixed use or housing there. But I'm also a fiduciary that has to support City College getting the best bang for its buck. Given that, I think we can work something out. I think we can work something out with the city. Right now, the property is very underutilized. It's a 1950s version of a building, and it's low slung, has a basement area, but there's a big parking lot. In fact, 2 big parking lots. So the property could be much better utilized. And the last property is the Balboa Reservoir, and that's at the actual main campus of City College. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a giant parking lot right now. It was intended to be a reservoir, but it was never used as a reservoir. And part of the parking lot area is what City College owns now. That's the area that's adjacent to Phelan Avenue. And then behind that, you may have never even seen it because you have to go down an embankment into the other parking lot. And that's the Balboa Reservoir. That's a nice, juicy piece of property that everybody's got their eyes on. The PUC technically, well, they own it outright, but they have to make a decision in concert with the best uses for City College as well. And that's where some of the issues come into play. I was just at a community meeting to decide what to do for this, and a lot of people feel like we need housing there. I had suggested housing for faculty there on that side, or some kind of cooperative housing, something like that. Mixed use, keeping in line with the neighborhood there. So somebody proposed, I don't know if this is a joke, but there's a flyer going around with 6,000 units, big high rises in the Balboa Reservoir. And I don't know if that was to get people to move to the idea of housing, saying, well, we don't want 6,000, but we'll take 800, you know. I don't know what the point of that was. It's SF Barf, if anybody knows who they are, so that's why I thought it was a joke. Yeah.
Well, does English as a second language students be absorbed in the...
They're trying to, but you know, some people that go up and can't find anybody to answer their questions, or they might be sending them just too far away to make it impossible if they're working. So you're talking about the Civic Center property, yeah. So that's that's kind of all the properties in a nutshell that City College has to make decisions on. Like I said with the last one, the reservoir, City College technically does not own that, the PUC owns it, but any decisions about its future will be made in concert to be compatible with City College. Now, there's supposed to be a performing arts center built on the present City College property. And as you may know, that's been stalled, and then the accreditation problem occurred. So there's already been money allocated for that. A lot of people want to see that go forward. I think it would be a huge asset to San Francisco, and it would be nice if the Balboa Reservoir property could somehow you know, be used in concert with that. Maybe gathering area adjacent to the Performing Arts Center with an underground garage, something like that. So those are a lot of ideas were thrown around about the Balboa Reservoir. It's not often that you get that big chunk of land in San Francisco to start building on. So does anybody else have any questions about, yeah?
I'm kind of not up to date as much as I should be on the situation, but previously the trustees were disempowered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, what is the status of that? Are you fully empowered now?
No, we're not fully empowered. I'm hopeful, because the special trustee with extraordinary powers has just retired.
Is that Arguello? No.
Yes.
Okay, and who's his replacement going to be?
They're talking about that now, and talking about whether there will be a replacement or not, so. This would be a great opportunity for them to just say, well, he retired, there's a full board, 4 people are new on the board, so it's not even the same board of trustees that it was before. We've argued that already with the Board of Governors, so see how far that goes. Yes?
You know, you mentioned, what, four properties?
Yeah.
I really think that
3.
The issue of housing and permanently affordable housing really does need to be raised in terms of each one of these sites. And, you know, even at Civic Center, where there's, I don't know how tall the building is, but if there's a tremendous need to do rebuilding at that site, we need to take a look at, is it possible to do housing as well as providing a campus?
That building is fairly small. It's not like one of our larger properties, and it is, my understanding is that it is on the historic register.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 100 years old, so it would be much more difficult to do that there.
Right.
But 33 Goff, definitely it would be good, especially the mayor had made a commitment to 30%, 30% low income.
And to me, that's preposterous.
Okay, I'm just saying that he made that commitment, so.
Just to a little feedback, if we have 85% of the people in this town that cannot afford to pay market rent, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so this 30% thing, public land really ought to be used for the public and not to be sold to real estate speculators. Because then that land is gone forever. And it will be sold and sold again for speculation. And if it's public land and we own it, that is a huge part of the cost of housing.
Well, I don't think they're planning on selling it, but what they're planning on doing is keeping the ground rights, so they will own the ground that it's on, but any kind of air rights will belong to the developer, whatever developer builds on there. Now, I said that 30% because I'm thinking the mayor thought he was quite generous with the 30%, because other things have been bandied about, like 12%, and which is just, you know, inexcusable. That is way too low. But you're right, there's a lot of people who need housing right now, and that is one of the few places, especially in the mid-market area, where you can actually build on right now. Does anybody have any other questions about any of the other properties or issues going on? So come and take a class.
I guess. I got a quick question. What can we do? Is there a...
Take a class.
Take a class.
They need students, right?
What's that?
You need students.
Yes, we need students. You probably heard this when the other candidates were all running. We were all mentioning this, that we're down from 105 to 80,000 students. And the Prop 78 monies, there's a formula based on the number of students that are enrolled, not unlike how K-12 does it. So the amount of money that City College gets is really dependent in part on the number of students enrolled there.